Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're enjoying what you're reading. The book today that I'm going to review is One Good Thing by Georgia Hunter. This is her sophomore novel. Her first book was We Were the Lucky Ones. You may have seen the book and you may have watched the series on Hulu. I will read the back of the book and then give you my rating and thoughts, and we'll go from there. Here we go. 1940 Italy. Lily and Esty have been best friends since they first met at university. When Esty's son, Theo, is born, they become as close as sisters. While the war sees across borders, life somehow goes on until Germany invades Italy, and the friends suddenly find themselves in occupied territory. Esty, older and fiercely self-assured, convinces Lily to join the resistant efforts. But when disaster strikes, a critically wounded Esty asks Lily to take a much bigger step, to go on the run with Theo. To protect him while Esty can't, terrified to travel on her own, Lily sets out with Theo on a harrowing journey south toward Allied territory, braving Nazi-occupied villages and bombed-out cities, doing everything she can to keep the boy safe. A remarkable tale of friendship, romance, motherhood, and survival. One Good Thing reminds us what is worth fighting for, and that love, even amid a world in ruins, can triumph. I gave this book a 4.5, although this was a book club read. So my friend's book club, we got together and this was the book we chose for this past meeting. And it took a while for me to understand the format. She does it first person present tense. So I think that's what it was. I can't remember. But it's in the present tense. That much is certain. I think what I really liked about it is that even though there's a romance in the story, it's not the overwhelming story in the book. It's mostly about Lily and her relationship with Theo and whether or not she can get to the Allied area. And in that way it was really good, because I find that books that even do have a bit of have romance, that are war books, do have a tendency to be overwhelmingly romancy. The entire thing is about the romance. It's not about the friendship. It's not about any other relationships. And how the romance gets started is not what I would have expected. Sorry for the glare in my classes. It's a bit dreary out today, and so therefore I got. Yeah. Anyways, in that way I really liked it, and that's partly why I gave it 4.5. The things that I didn't really like were the first person, were the present tense that she puts the story in. And I found that was really difficult to put myself in that point of view. And you can only really see it from Lily's point of view. You don't see it from any other point of view in the story. So it's a point of view story. In that way, it's good. I'm glad it's not. I'm glad it's not one of the typical. I'm glad it wasn't one of those typical dual timeline stories where you go back and forth within a family or friendship or whatever, finding out some buried secret. But one thing I didn't understand is what she means by, the author's not really clear on what she means by one good thing. Is it the friendship that she had with she has with SD, and eventually the relationship she has with Vioa. And I also like that, another thing I really liked about the book was that it took place in Italy. And because a lot of those stories that we read are either take place in France, take part in the northern part. So France, Belgium or the Netherlands, Germany, or in Poland or in England during the war. And I understand why. But it's really it's just really interesting how she uses Italy as the basis for the story and the setting for the story. And I think that was really ingenious, actually. I guess I could have given it a lower mark, I guess. I wasn't ready quite to give it a 4.75. It wasn't quite that good. There were times in the book, especially early on, where I was just like, well, what's going on? And I think I had to restart it at one point. And it only takes place over, I'd say, a year and a half, really. It doesn't take place over the whole course of the war. It does start in 1940, in December of 40. So, but a good chunk of the book takes place in 43 and 44, especially in 44. So I think that in a lot of it, I think that's she should have said 1940s Italy, but anyways, that was One Good Thing by Georgia Hunter. If you've read We Were the Lucky, it's not, I should note before I go, and before I ask you to do some things, it is not a series. So it's a separate standalone story, different characters. So if you've read We Were the Lucky Things, you won't continue with the same story. But if you haven't read We Were the Lucky Ones, then you get the joy of going back and reading it after you go and read this. And on that happy note, remember, if you like what you see in here, please like and subscribe. Let people know about this. And then, if you want to, I have some social media links in my description so that you can go back and look at what I posted there. Some of it's a gobbledygook, just opinions and stuff. So, especially on Twitter and that the like, but a lot of them are just links to these videos. But I do have a bookshop.org site. I do have a shop, so if you want this book or any other book and you want to throw me a little cash, I'd be grateful if you could do that. And I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye for now.